over 20 years designing a security program for other businesses that deal with a large amount of cash and very desirable merchandise. About 4 years ago, I got a phone call from one of my vendors, Rick Rowland from Rowland State. And his call was, listen, got a call from a group that was hosting an event up in Boston. And they need someone to talk about cash management and security in the cannabis industry. I knew nothing about cannabis or the security required in there. So I did a little research, and I came to realize it's very similar in a lot of ways to jewelry or pawn shops or convenience stores or firearm stores, where it has a large amount of cash and a very desirable piece of merchandise. So I went to MJ Biz in Boston. There was 125 attendees at the event. There were 15 vendors, and I got up there, and that was my first event in cannabis, and from there it just took off. Where you could see the need and the value when it comes to the security, and we just went from there, and now we've been involved in 22 states across the United States.
You know what? I fly a lot, but nothing compared to you. We're Facebook friends, and I'm telling you what, you go for your 1,000,000 miles a year, or a million miles a lifetime, I think.
We have clients from Hawaii to Alaska to New Jersey to California, so sure. It does keep us busy. I love coming up to Colorado, and that's one of my favorite locations. And as you know, next week we'll be in Las Vegas for the MJ Biz show there. And this time, after 4 years, they're going to have over 20,000 people there and over 750 booths. So big change in the last 4 years in cannabis.
Yeah, well, that just shows how much this industry's grown,
And I love it.
Yeah, so do I.
The more the merrier.
Yes.
What are some common myths about cannabis security?
It was interesting when I got involved that a lot of people came under the assumption that cannabis was such a unique business line that, that they were dealing with uranium or something else like that, and that the security has to be in line with, defending a nuclear reactor or some nature. And when you step back and you look at the cannabis industry, it is basically a retail-based industry, and there are a lot of programs that you can take from the pawn industry and jewelry industry and firearm industry and convenience stores or tobacco that you can incorporate into the cannabis security programs. And a lot of people, when they first start and come into cannabis, they really believe that this is such a unique market when it comes to security, and that really is a myth.
Well, I'd like you to elaborate a little bit more. Why is security so important for cultivation centers and dispensaries?
Well, just like any other retail business or any kind, it comes down to the bottom line and the profitability, not only the safety of all the employees at the location, but also how much of a profit you're going to show at the end of the day. And when you look at, we call them the big four, when you look at tobacco, firearms, alcohol, and cannabis, it's very similar in those big four when you look at them, because they have a product that if it got out to society illegally, it's going to hurt the community. If someone robs a jewelry store, it's bad, but it's just gold getting out on the street. If someone robs a firearm store, they're going to wind up with guns on the street or tobacco on the street or alcohol on the street or cannabis on the street, and that affects society. So the importance of having a security program is a couple of folds in it. First of all, you want to make sure that you're protecting your customers and your employees, very much like any other retail business would be. You want to make sure that product is not getting out there illegally, because that's really going to come back and affect you, not only from a business point of view, but from a community point of view. And at the end of the day, you want to show a profit. If your security program is poor, you're going to have people stealing from you. Either it's going to be external theft, it could even be shoplifting, or it could be robberies or break-ins, to internal theft, which is a normal situation where employee is actually taking product or taking money that they're not supposed to. So it really comes down to a whole realm of looking at the program and making sure that your security program is really well defined.
Hey, go ahead. Can I just say real quick that one of my cannabis industry heroes has tuned in, Bob Ashino from Incredibles.
Bob, yay, Bob! You got to be on our show.
Yes, definitely. The reason why he's one of my heroes, number one, he's grown a very successful business, but also
Amen.
what he does,
Yes, he has.
what he does to help patients is, I don't think, as well known as probably it could be, because he helps a lot of people. They hook up a lot of patients with, with medicine, and I have a lot of respect for that. So
actually, he's my
cool.
favorite edible brand. When I go into the dispensaries, that's who I ask for. Incredibles, absolutely. I know it's quality. I know it's good.
Yeah. Sorry about that aside.
Just one more thing to touch on what you said, and I've always said this, if you rob a jewelry store, you get 20 cents on a dollar, or a liquor store, the same thing. But marijuana, that's one of the things you can still get the street value out of it. And that's one of the reasons I think it's even more important to have good security. Sure. Because people know that out there, a pound's a pound, no matter what.
It's a very desirable item, and
yes,
that is why you have to have the top line security programs out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you know now that you wish you would have known when you started out?
Well, it's interesting, having been involved in the cannabis business for the last 5 years, and it kind of makes sense now that now that I thought about it this way. But a lot of people that are coming into this industry have never been in the cannabis industry, and simply because there's never been a cannabis industry to be in. So there's a lot of individuals who are coming in with backgrounds as attorneys, or backgrounds in construction, or they own a car dealership and they're very successful, but they've never been in the cannabis industry. And it's not like most of the other industries. We deal a lot, like I said, with high-risk businesses. If I'm talking to a jeweler, they've been a jeweler for a while, or they've worked with jewelers for a while, or a pawn shop owner or something like that. A lot of these owners, this is all brand new to them, and to try and educate them and give them best advice, it was a surprise at first, and we're all still learning, and being 5 years in cannabis is like 50 years somewhere else, and the next 5 years are going to be totally different. But that was the biggest surprise that I seen when I entered this industry.
So what are some good and bad examples of security that you've seen since you've been in the industry?
I've been designing security for 30 years. I worked for Sears, I worked for Macy's, I worked for a high-risk business for 17 years, and ran 1,300 stores. And the one thing that I see, and I continue to see, is that owners are either in fear of bad things happening to them, or the integrators that they're dealing with communicate that to them. And I see a lot of security designs that really do not have a good return on investment. And the feeling is, if my security integrator tells me I should have 80 cameras or 100 cameras at that location, then I have no problem. No one's ever going to steal from me. And that's not the case, or access control. So I've seen some security designs where, they're spending $100,000 to $200,000 more than they really should for their security, and they're not getting the return on investment. And what I always say, not just even in the cannabis industry, is if you have 100 cameras, no one ever looks at those cameras, then you have 100 boat anchors. And there's no value in what you're doing. And I see that as a lot of times. Now, on the good side, I'm starting to see a lot more policies and procedures being put into place, where they're really focusing on where's your core problem stemming from, how are we going to prevent that from happening in the future, and what checks and balances are we going to have, and not just relying on the fact that I spent so much money on a physical security design.
Nice.
Cool. Let's see. Yeah, the good and the bad examples. I saw you posted something on Facebook of a security camera with the cable cut to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that when you see that, what message are you sending? When you see that a camera is being blocked by some signage, or when you see that the camera really doesn't work, or that this door can be open, or whatever, what you're communicating them to people is that you really do not have a good security program. Lighting is not sufficient in the parking lot. And that's really if you look at a lot of high-risk businesses, the biggest challenge is not having person rob you, is pushing that person, and unfortunately, to go rob somebody else, or someone to steal from somebody else. And that really, when I design a security program for a company, my focus really is to prevent the loss from occurring. I always tell my clients, if at the end of a year or two you call me and say nothing ever happens here, then I've done my job. I don't want to catch you stealing. I want you to go somewhere else to steal.
You know what one of the shocking things is about your company, and I don't know if you've changed yet, but they don't sell security equipment. Do you sell security equipment now?
No, so we
just
are
a risk assessment.
We're actually a pure consulting company. We work as a client security director. So we sell no cameras, no video, no alarms, no safes, no guards, none of that. We advise on that, and we have proven vendors that we can suggest, but we're not married to any of those vendors. So, on a lot of occasions, we're going to give you best practices. We're going to give you SOPs. But we're not going to try and sell you anything.
That's a good thing.
I like not being sold stuff.
Yeah, so do I. Unless I want to buy it.
Right. Which was my experience at Best Buy last week, actually, buying a security camera for my house. To watch the wildlife in the backyard. So far, I've only seen my dog doing his business.
What about a deer eating a pumpkin? That wasn't at your house?
Not yet. I need to move the pumpkins to the backyard. Yeah, it's on the way in, but not at my house. Where do you? Actually, I had another thing that you posted on Facebook, Tony. Was people recently ran a van through like the front window of Native Roots in Sea Springs, and they got out of there with a whole bunch of oregano. And so my first question is, who thinks that oregano looks like cannabis? What in the world? Was that on like they took display pieces? Like, that's so weird.
What's weird is they had oregano as display pieces.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah, that's funny now that they, I would love to have been in the robbers' cars when they go to twist up one, Or as soon as you open it, you can smell oregano. But
I guess they don't know what it looks like, so they might not even know what it smells like. But bad kids.
Not the big win for them.
Yeah, sure.
Where do you see the cannabis security industry moving in the next 5-10 years as we build out this monster that we're going to build?
I see electronics playing a big part of it. The value of new cameras and new designs. When I started so many years ago, it was a black and white camera that ran over a coax line that you had to run through the asbestos of the ceiling and all of that. And now you're seeing more robust camera systems and access control systems, and I call them barrier security. There's a safe out there now. It's they call the cannabis safe. It's actually was designed for the cannabis industry. There are more components that are coming into play from manufacturers that are designed specifically for this industry. And I see that reducing the human element of a lot of things. Right now, you're spending money and you're not getting that return on investment because you have to spend that money every single week or every single day. And I think electronics is going to play a much more bigger role in the cannabis industry in protecting it. And then I also see policies and procedures continuing to grow. We learn from our mistakes, and we've made a lot of mistakes in the cannabis industry. And I think we learn from those mistakes, and from that, we're going to have much better defined procedures and SOPs out there so that people understand how to open their location or close their location, or what to do in a robbery, or how to prevent internal theft or so forth.
We have a question from Facebook from Larry Reed from let's get this right, Man on Weed podcast, and he asked, how do you feel about having armed guards in facilities?
Well, to be honest, I am not a person who's very much in favor of armed guards, and here's the reason why. And I say this to almost all retail companies. If you have an armed guard in place, your desire is for someone not to commit a robbery. That's why that guard is there. If you really were looking for customer controls, you probably wouldn't have a need for an armed guard. So what are we saying here? We're saying that if someone is going to rob this location, their first decision has to be that they have to disable or remove that guard, which means that they have to commit a violent act. If the situation is that you have the security guard, and how much training does that guard have? What is his protocols in place? Is his protocols to start having a gun battle inside the dispensary or inside the grow facility? What are you trying to achieve? So I see definitely a value for guards. But I think a lot of times they're misused. They don't understand maybe what the protocol should be to how to prevent those losses. You mentioned when Native Roots had the break-in, they had the oregano out in there, but they probably wind up with $20,000 to $30,000 worth of damage by them the truck through. If I had installed flower pots in front of that location, or bowards, the big metal poles, for a few $100 or a few $1,000, I would have prevented $30,000 worth of loss. And same question I have is, what is the guard really focusing on? What's he doing? I definitely believe guards are needed when it comes to controlling the flow of customers, especially in urban markets. Yeah. I think sometimes we need to look at what do we want the guard to actually do, and why is he armed?
Yeah, I think you brought up a good answer, really. As far as armed guards, I think it also depends on, where is the dispensary or cultivation center located? There's a lot of them in the industrial parks here in Denver. And some of them that I've been to, I don't know, it just made you feel a little bit better that there was an armed guard. But I agree with most of everything else that you said, that, how you can, utilize standard operating procedures from the onset of the barriers to the windows and doors, possibly to offset, something like that. But I think it all depends, where your business is located as well.
I think when you look at the security strategy, you have to look at it as an onion, and you have to start peeling back and having designs come into place. And again, one of the first questions you asked me is a lot of times a cannabis business owner is putting all his security eggs in one basket. So it's cameras, it's access control, it's safes, it's guards. It's not just one issue that you can feel comfortable at night and go home. And I think a lot of times you need a completely well-defined security program.
We have a big sword here. That's an integral part
what about
of our
Dieter?
Security. And we have a ghost.
Yeah, Dieter the ghost.
Yeah.
And that can always help.
Yeah, it does. It scares me. So where do you see cannabis security?
I asked him that.
Oh, you did?
You're on the next question now. In the next 5-10 years.
Now you go for it.
Okay, so what differentiates we're trying to get it together.
Yeah,
it's
a
struggle.
It is.
We're dealing with about a half a brain between two of us most of the time.
And you got 3/4 of that. Sorry, Tony.
I'm here with you.
So can you tell us what differentiates you guys from your competitors, beyond the fact that you don't try and sell people a bunch of equipment?
Well, one of the things is we're a nationwide company. We've been in 22 states, so we have an understanding a little bit more about how good working cannabis programs work in Hawaii, Alaska, New Jersey, Florida, so forth and so on. And we can bring that knowledge and that understanding into our programs and their designs. A lot of times you'll look at a lot of security companies, majority of them are security integrators. They sell a widget, they sell a product. They're great. They're actually our vendors, so we utilize them. But that's what their role is. Their role really is they're going to come into your location and they're going to help design a physical security, and they're going to want to install it or sell you that product. We don't do that. We actually work as your director of security, as your consultant, and we bring in that knowledge. We have an application writing team. Leo heads that up, and he's done a great job, and he has people that understand how to get you a license. And Jose, when it comes to the physical security designs, and Justin, who goes out there and does physical security coordination. But what we do is we're not just talking like we design products in Colorado or security systems in Colorado. We go out there and we bring in best practices New Jersey might do something better than California, and California might do something better than Michigan, and we can bring all that back to our clients and give them a better round understanding.
You know, in the last year and a half, 2 years, CBD has exploded. Is that, do you show effects with your business as well, with all the processing plants and manufacturing facilities?
We do. We started working with CBD dispensary, the CBD locations, very much like a retail establishment. Another desirable item. People want CBD. We do work in the hemp industry now. We're working also with the processors out there. So, you know, as the cannabis business evolves, and you know, we say cannabis kind of as an umbrella, but really you look at cannabis and you have hemp there, you have CBD, and those are different than medical marijuana or recreational marijuana. And we're starting to see even retailers who are out there and they're selling clothing that is made out of hemp, and the stores are 90% made, selling product much like any other retail store or clothing store of hemp. So we are getting more and more involved in not only the cannabis industry, but more into the retail part of it too.
That's excellent. You know, just being in this industry on the hemp side, I see it just so important, maybe even more important than retail cannabis and cultivation centers when it comes to CBD manufacturing facilities that turn the industrial hemp into oils and distillates and isolates. I mean, a little jug like this is, you know, $7,000 to $10,000, and you have 100,000 or 10,000 of those in your facility. That adds up.
Sure.
You know, you really need to protect that.
No, and I fully agree. And when we design security for hemp facilities, you know, a lot of times where you normally for cannabis, you're looking to protect the actual plant. We're looking to protect the processing of those plants. And, you know, there's certain ways, you know, but when you're talking about a cannabis facility that's, say, 20,000 square feet and now a hemp field that's 20 acres, you know, again, the security designs are much different.
Yeah.
Robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a little odd, but that's, I guess, why people kind of like us. I don't know.
It's inexplicable.
I don't know. Well, Tony, I tell you, it's great having you on the show. I can't wait to see you out at MJ BizCon. Now, you're with another group in a booth. Can you give us some information on that?
Yeah, so we'll be sharing a booth with Roland Solutions. We're in booth 3964.
3964.
3964, and we'll have our display up there. And again, the booth doesn't have any product. We're going to talk strictly about project management and consulting. I'm going to have up 2 floor plan designs that we've done for a dispensary and for a grow. I imagine a lot of people will be taking pictures of that, showing the various camera systems and alarms and access controls and safes. And I look forward to talking to anybody who wants to stop by.
All right, booth 3964 at MJ BizCon, and you're sharing it with, and his name's Rick Rowland, right?
His name is Rick Rowland.
Do you know him?
I feel like I got Rick rolled though. Like, never gonna give you up. Every time.
And the company is called Roland Solutions.
What do they do? Let's give them a shout out. What do they do?
So Roland Solutions been around for well over 100 years, based in New Orleans. They started off making keys back then, and moved into the safe industry. They're a nationally known company dealing with a lot of well-known companies outside of the cannabis arena. And several years ago, they entered the cannabis arena. One of the main things they do is they're a project manager. You know, there'll be a vendor that I would consider, and they would go in and they would work on installing your cameras, your access, selling you safes and so forth, and alarm systems. And they're a total solutions company.
Is that the safe company that has a safe design for marijuana, or no?
It is. It is.
What is a safe design for marijuana? It shocks you when you touch it? Nah.
Well, you know, I thought about that, having it talkie, but so think about and a lot of this came from the pawn industry and the jewelry industry. Picture a regular safe, a TL rated, high security safe, and inside the safe are various size drawers. and only one drawer can be open at a time, and there's a delay on that. So
Okay.
in a code. So now in there, you put all your CBD in drawer number 1 or a different brand in drawer number 2. That safe can sit right behind the counter, right behind the sales counter. So instead of having to go in the back room and get whatever you need, a customer comes up and they want to purchase cannabis, or they want to purchase CBD or some other product of that, you can go into those drawers. There's an audit trail that shows you how it works. You punch in the security code. It opens up only that one particular drawer. In addition to that, at the end of the night, you close that safe door, and it's completely safe. So you don't have to bring product out in the morning, or you don't have to put product back at night. And there's an audit trail to that also. And it really, it's used throughout the United States right now, and I think it's going to start taking even more momentum out there, especially when it comes to dispensaries. And it protects your product.
Yeah. Last question. To our viewers, how do they get a hold of you if they have questions?
So our company is sapphirerisk.com, SAPPHIRERISK.com. And if you want to get a hold of me, my email address is tgallo@sapphirerisk.com, and phone number is 214-845-6838.
Tony, great having you as our guest. We'll have you on in the future, and excited to see you and have a drink next week in Vegas.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, take care, buddy.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks,
take care.
man.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Well,
great guy. Good information.
Kind of messed that up at the beginning there with the had some audio difficulties. Sorry about that.
All good.
Is it okay if I Rickroll everybody?
Yeah, definitely. We need to.
Definitely.
We have to. No better way to end it.
Let's see. Here we go. Maybe this will work.
There we go.
Rick Rowland.
God, what year was that?
I don't know.
That looks like the 80s for sure.
Maybe, I'm thinking like maybe early
Really?
like 1990 maybe.
Okay. There we go.
Rick Rowland.
Did he come out with any other songs that were hits?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, but that was a good one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Great show today.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We keep figuring out how to do this every week.
Yeah, next year we might even, we'll leave it at that. So MJ BizCon, November 14th, 15th, and 16th. Talking about just crazy fun. If you're into networking and building your network, I guess there's really no better show. If you can't do that with 20,000 attendees.
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it is. The after parties is really what I'm looking for. And then CBD West, which I guess is called CBD East this time. It's a CBD Expo in Orlando, December 7th and 8th. They came out of nowhere and they put on a really good show.
Really?
I went to the one in Anaheim and I was shockingly impressed. I never heard of them, and it was a really good show. So really looking forward to December 7th and 8th. Orlando, I've got, I think, some family coming up for that out of South Florida. So it's just good time.
Nice.
Good time.
And go vote, everybody. I'm rooting for Phil Kelly for Senate District 13.
Phil Kelly.
That would be so awesome if we could elect Phil Kelly to the state Senate. That would be amazing. I'm also rooting for Sarah Swain for Kansas Attorney General, and I also hope North Dakota might pass a pretty lenient recreational bill, and nobody knows anything about it. Nobody polls North Dakota. It's basically like it's legal. And
I love that.
It's legal, and you guys can pass laws about it next year.
I love that.
Missouri's got 3 medical measures on the ballot. Hopefully, one of those will pass. Hopefully, one of the 2 that involves amending their constitution so that it's harder for the lawyers or the legislators to screw with it. And then let's see, Michigan, and then Utah's going to vote on some garbage version of a med bill. So.
And I just hope Colorado voters vote right on our hemp bill. or what was that?
Amendment X.
Amendment X.
Yeah.
That's.
I voted no.
Yeah, I think that we should leave it alone.
Not the hill I'm going to die on, but I mean that's definitely I voted no.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have more information next time around if we defeat this, but who knows?
Absolutely.
Who knows?
Great show.
Yeah.
Like always.
Cool.
And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, thanks for joining, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday on the Mainstream Cannabis Media Empire.
Bye-bye.